Hey, what's going on, everyone? This is Mitch. Good Sunday evening to you all. Hope you guys are having a great ending to your weekend as we're about to work our way into our work week. Got you an update tonight. We're going to discuss the tropics. There's no big topic to latch on to. There's not a new name storm, anything like that. By the way, the next name storm is Julia, the J name. But we're going to talk about how we do have a chance for us to get to that name here in the next several days. And I'm watching an area of interest that's literally dubbed an area of interest, this 91L by the National Hurricane Center. We're going to take a look at that tonight, really focus in on that and that only. And I'm not concerned about it, but there's a look to it that is not concerning, but it has that look to it that models could latch onto this suddenly, very quickly. So I want to talk about what I'm seeing out here. If you guys have not subscribed, certainly consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. It goes a long way. Appreciate the support over the last month and a half. It's been amazing, and I really do appreciate y'all following me along. And if you guys got anything that I can pray about, pray over, please put it in the comments below. It gives me an opportunity to pray over it, and it gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get rocking here. Let's look at the latest update. So this is from 2 p.m. Another update will come up at 8 p.m., which is here in probably the next couple of minutes. Let's see if there's already an update. There is not. So this might get bumped up to a 40% chance. I doubt it, but if it does, just know that this is old data. If it does get bumped up to a 40% chance in the next 5 days, it'll turn it will go from basically yellow to orange, which stands for a medium chance to develop. And then there's still a 70% chance for this to develop into a depression named storm, but I think this is slowly going to drop off some. I do not think this is going to become a named storm, but we'll watch. It might. And even if it does, not going to be a concern for anybody. But this is kind of the one that people have been chattering a little bit about today in the weather community, and we need to certainly watch it. And I can tell you, just a 30% chance to develop in the next 5 days. And I can also say that models are not liking this developing, but it's a little bit confusing on why, but we'll talk a little bit about that. But here it is. You see this big area of, you can just call it convection. You see the higher cloud tops, the colder cloud tops here in the black colors right here. This is a huge tropical wave, and it looks like a healthy tropical wave. And it honestly looks like one of those waves that could really be kind of the pre-stage of something bigger on down the road. And that's why like I said, I don't want to use the C word. I'm not concerned, but we need to watch this because this looks like something that the models could suddenly latch onto. And we have something kind of like an Ian. If you remember back about 7 to 10 days ago, when we were really starting to break down Fiona, suddenly we had this signal right in this area. This is right around where Ian's kind of began to show a lot of support on model guidance, and really this is where it kind of brew up and it kind of formed. This is exactly where Ian formed right here. So it's just an area we need to watch. We do, and I'll be interested to see if models uptrend on this. Let's hope it does not, because it would not be good news for the Caribbean islands. For the Windward Islands, I don't think this is going to develop in time to be a big deal. Just some showers, gusty winds for you folks. But we need to certainly watch our folks in Central to Western Caribbean on down the road. But this is it. This is going to be the topic of discussion. First off, I want to say, and I just pulled this off a random news media site here, the chances of development in October. This is what climatology says, where tropical development likes to develop. And certainly it likes the Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. And these are the paths they like to take. And the reason they kind of historically go this path, average prevailing tracks, is because when you get into October, you start to have more cold fronts to dig deeper into the south. When you have cold fronts to dig deeper in the south, even if you have a tropical system that kind of rides up in the Gulf of Mexico, a lot of times they get pushed on out to sea. So that's why you have development down here, which, by the way, that's where cold fronts do not reach, and most of the time. But it pushes these tropical systems on out to sea on average. But let's go on and look at the GFS, the European. We're even going to take a look at the icon. I think the icon deserves a little bit more respect after how well it handled Ian and trying to give us tips early on that this was going to become a southeast threat also with Ian, and it certainly did. So here it is. We'll start this off Tuesday morning. Already have a low pressure. The GFS likes a close to 1,000 millibar low pressure, but just 1,003. We'll keep this rolling. We're getting into midweek. Some showers, gusty Gusty winds moving to the Windward Islands, not a big deal. If you're confused at what time frame we're at, look up here. THU stands for Thursday, obviously. Getting to the Caribbean, the Eastern Caribbean, an L pops up periodic. It pops up occasionally. Let's just use occasionally, because obviously I can't say the other word right now. But, we're getting into this weekend. Just a bunch of tropical moisture down here. But you notice it never develops. It never develops. If it does, it'll be somewhere down here. And you can see how there's a cutoff between a lot of green and not a whole lot of nothing in the Gulf of Mexico. That's because you have a big-time cold front showing up on all models for this coming weekend into early next week. And we'll talk about that probably in tomorrow night's video. We'll talk about that, unless this becomes a bigger story. But the GFS on the actual global model, the actual operational run, does not show much support of a future Julia situation. Well, look at the European, kind of same situation, getting into about midweek. Here comes a big plume of tropical moisture as we get into Wednesday, moving into the Windward Islands, but not a big deal. The European does not show development either. Now, it tries to get something going deep in the Caribbean right here, but it really never quite gets going. It really doesn't. And I think if anything does get going, we need to just simply watch the Caribbean. I think it's going to be hard to get anything into the Gulf of Mexico right now, at least, due to a lot of troughing, pushing things down, and just kind of preventing anything from getting into the U.S. But that doesn't mean that doesn't affect areas of the Caribbean like the Cuba, Jamaica, and Hispaniola. So look at the icon. What does the icon show? Same kind of deal. Shows a plume of moisture getting into the Caribbean, and then we get 120 hours out, which takes us to about next Friday. Well, this coming Friday afternoon. And it follows the same as the European and GFS. So right now, there's no support of development from this by models, but it looks like a very healthy tropical wave. But I think it is going to get hit by a little bit of shear from the north, and there probably will be a little bit of dry air around to prevent this, and maybe that's what the models are trying to say. We look at the latest GEFS ensembles, which is the ensembles for the GFS. I can tell you the signal actually dropped from the 12Z run, and it just shows a few rogue members really developing. But the ones that they do show, the members they do show development, really show development. You got with this one, you got a 979 millibar low pressure, and you got this one, and you got a couple big storms out here. But there isn't many members at all out of all the members showing up by the GEFS ensembles. There's not many at all. Another way we can look at this is look at the European ensembles off weathernerds.com. And here's our signal down here. This is through, I believe, 180 hours out. So this is, that's 1 week out, 1 week out. And it only shows 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't even know if you would count these 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 out of 50 members developing into something. But the ones that do develop, show tropical storm to near hurricane status, besides these ones down here that are above 1,000 millibars, which would probably just be a depression or a wave. So to wrap this video up, and I know this is a shorter video, but I mean, it's no point in talking something to death that really isn't there right now. The one thing that I am, if I would say I'm concerned about, is here's the low pressure. This is the GFS. And this is basically our wind pattern aloft. Do we have any shear? What kind of environment aloft do we have? Well, wherever that low pressure is at this point come Friday morning, here it is that just popped up right there. It's in the Caribbean. And I can tell you guys, there is no shear. There's a nice... what we call a ULAC ahead, which is basically like an anticyclonic flow. We've talked about that with Ian, and that's what caused and promoted rapid development. So there's going to be a no shear environment here in the Caribbean, but models just do not like any development of a Julia situation forming. So the reason I'm making this video is just to warn you guys that I would not be surprised at all. I'm not saying that I think it's going to happen, because I'm not saying that, because I really am not confident enough to say that. But I would not be surprised if models suddenly take a liking to 91L right here. I would not be surprised one bit. This is a big tropical wave, a lot of convection just in general along this monsoon trough out here, is what we call it. And occasionally, sometimes you get one dominant vortice that wants to pop off and then form into something. In fact, you look at the water vapor loop out here. This is definitely creating a nice moisture plume for this area. So we'll watch this, a nice little upper level spin up here, probably creating some shear on top of this storm. But this still has a pretty good outflow even right now. It's not even into the Caribbean right now. So that's pretty much all I got, guys. Let's keep a look on this. Of course, everybody's guard is sky high because of what Ian just did. And I'm not trying to, hype anything up, but let's watch this tropical wave, see what it's going to do. That's all I got, guys. Y'all have a great ending to your weekend, and I'll be with you guys in the morning. God bless.